Oh, hi. Welcome back. I want to talk about the power of SATS and meditation because I feel like it's extremely underrated. And whenever I used SATS and meditation personally, that's always when I've seen the quickest results. I feel like the reason why I was getting some what I perceived as negative feedback from my physical reality was because I felt like when I was doing my affirmations, I was being double minded because I was telling myself one thing, but then I kept holding on to the old story. So what helped me release the old story was meditation. But if you're struggling or you feel like you're not getting what you want or you just feel double-minded in general, like hot and cold, girl, that is an easy fix. Don't get in your head about it. Don't repeat to yourself, "Oh, I'm getting hot and cold." No, if you notice it, break the pattern, lock in, and I'm going to teach you how. Before I get into the how, I'm going to teach you why this works because the why is really what helped me understand manifestation, especially on a more consistent and independent level. Girl, I love the idea of coaching. I think that's a strong idea. However, sometimes a lot of people, when they seek out coaching, it's like they're seeking out the coach to fix everything for them. You can fix everything for yourself. And the more that you learn techniques that are better for you, personalize it for you, the less you're going to have to seek outside sources. And I say that not because, oh, you should never do coaching. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that because you shouldn't have to rely on it. You shouldn't be dependent on it. You can ask for further clarification, but I want you to be as independent as you can possibly be because that's good for your self-concept as well. So the reason why SATS, aka state akin to sleep, or meditation works is because when your brain is producing theta waves, your subconscious mind is more open and you're more open to suggestion. So for example, that's why hypnotism was a big thing in the early 2000s, is because your subconscious mind is more open and you get less of that ego of, oh, is this going to work? Is manifestation even real? What am I even doing? You get less of that feedback because all it is just getting into a state of, I'm not taking in any of my outside sensory distractions and I'm going inwards instead, and through imaginal acts, through affirmations, whatever is making me feel good in that moment in time. And I'm immersing myself. I personally believe when it comes to manifestation, I know there's a really high emphasis in manifestation of repetition. I do think that can be very good as well. I think there might be a little bit of a pedestal when it comes to repetition because in my experience, that's not the only way that I've manifested. When I open my subconscious mind to suggestion, I don't require as much repetition, I've noticed. I only really do repetition to train my mind and because it makes me feel good. Not because I think that the repetition is what's going to get me my manifestation. What's going to get me my manifestation is me fully immersing myself in it, making myself feel good, fulfilling my inner world. Therefore, my inner world will reflect outward. So let's get into the how. Basically, meditation, the reason why I also suggest meditation in alignment with state akin to sleep, because meditation, you don't have to necessarily be going to sleep, okay? You can just be listening to music, laying down, sitting down, closing your eyes. You could even be taking a walk and you can meditate through doing that. Even if you want to do like a repetitive movement like crocheting, it's whatever gets you to that state of mind where you're not focusing on your thoughts or focusing on your inner monologue, where you just feel like you're just pure awareness. That is the sauce. And like meditation is just good for you in general. Like in neuroscience, in different religions, in different cultures, it's been highly regarded for a reason because sometimes, okay, especially in our society, we're very overstimulated. This, not putting manifestation aside, we are very overstimulated with devices, having laptops, having your TV on and your laptop on and your phone on. That is a lot of overstimulation, babes. And also, not only does it slow down your mind, but you will notice that your brain will start taking affirmations a lot better when there's less of a mess in there. Does that make sense? And you will also find that you will feel more mentally healthy and more mentally fresh too. Because I used to have a constant inner monologue and I thought that was normal. Babes, it's okay. If you're realizing things, it's the year of realizing things, okay? So not only do I experience a lot less anxiety, overthinking, by the way, I'm not a mental health professional, okay? This is what worked for me. I get a lot less anxiety, overthinking, doubts. I don't think about that stuff anymore. And it's so much easier to, not only is it so much easier to manifest, that should not only be your primary reason. It's just better to live in my head now. Because I'm not hurting myself through my thoughts. Because I just let myself be. Sometimes, this is why I also prefer like when it comes to manifestation, like I really love law of assumption, but I also prefer to teach about like states manifesting because I truly believe personally your state is what manifests. And it's not your emotional state, okay? It's not your mental state. It's basically the state of knowing or the state of being, okay? Because that particular state, I've noticed that's when I've manifested, like that's when it comes in for me. I can get things more instantly. Manifestation is always instant, but you get what I mean. Because I used to think that I had to say over and over, like I used to get really confused with manifestation coaches, and that's not to shade anybody. That's just to say, take what resonates and leave the rest, right? Do what works for you. This is why I always preach that manifestation is incredibly personable, because the coach that works extremely well for one person is not going to necessarily work for another person. And yeah, that's an assumption, but whatever, you get what I mean. And so for me, repeating my affirmations over and over made me more stressed, and it put me in a state of being that I did not want to be in, regardless of manifestation. So for me personally, whenever I'm in a state that I don't want to be in, I release that old state, okay? Whether it's through crying or whatever, do what you need to do. Crying, meditation, use healthy coping mechanisms, release that old state, let it out, okay? Because your body deserves to have that release. But also remind yourself that your feelings are not the end all be all until you decide that. Or you don't have to over identify with your feelings. You can feel sad, but you don't have to identify as a sad person. Does that make sense? Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic, but that's why I felt really called to make this video, is because if I knew about SATS and meditation before my affirmation stage, like I'm not hating on affirmations ever. Affirmations are incredibly powerful, especially when you're doing them in a meditative state. However, I was doing affirmations personally to get something. I was in a desperate state. Okay, regardless of if I was doing affirmations or not, I was putting too much emphasis on methods or putting my desire on a pedestal. Babes, your desire is not above you. Put it down. Your desire is never above you or too good for you, okay? And you don't have to repeat affirmations if that's not making you feel good. Just because someone said it on YouTube, and that's not to hate on anyone ever, okay? We all have different ways that work for us. But I'm saying just because you hear it from someone else, if that doesn't resonate with you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do what everyone else is doing. You can do what works for you. And if what works for you is impressing your subconscious mind and that makes it easier and you don't want to do as many affirmations, that's perfectly valid. That's perfectly valid, and that's the reason why I want you to watch this video, and I want you to know there are other methods, okay? You can even create your own method, okay? But I don't want to ramble too much because I want this to be very straightforward, okay? I love you guys. You guys can do this. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? But you guys can do this, I promise.